Hey guys, and welcome back to the internet. So the cat has been sleeping most of the day, and I just barely brought out the microphone and I set everything up, and she just climbed out of bed, so we'll see if we can go the whole video without her interrupting. So I mentioned before that sometimes this channel can be a little bit difficult to make content for because I kind of just have to rely on whatever people are posting that day. And some days, I swear, it's like the stories on some days are just a little strange compared to others. So this first story is called, What the Heck is Chocolate for Boys? So I work at a Polish grocery store. It's a pretty small place, so we don't have a whole lot of stuff. This also means that I'm usually working alone, so no one can help me with things like this. One of the things we sell are boxes of chocolates filled with either jam or liquor. One time, an old lady came in. I say, "Hi, what can I get you?" She says, "Hi, I'm looking for a box of chocolate." I say, "Okay, sure. Is there a specific one you're looking for?" She says, "Yes, I need some chocolate for boys. I'm going to bring it to my grandson." Of course, I have zero idea what this means. I was like, okay, how about this one? She looks at the box, a fruit one, and she scowls at me. "Did you hear what I just said? I need chocolate for boys." I'm just like, okay. "Do you want a liquor one instead?" "No, it's for my grandson. I just want some chocolate for boys." I say, "Okay, can you please point to the one that fits the criteria?" She says, "Seriously? Fine, I'll go somewhere else." Then she leaves without buying anything. I still have no idea what chocolate for boys is. Okay, well, if anyone in the comments knows what chocolate for boys is, just let me know. So this one's, My sister gets mad because I won't drive to her house to get her son his tablet. So this just happened, and I'm still really mad about it. So I'm a university student. We always get a week off before exams so we can prepare. I usually take this opportunity to visit my hometown, since I really don't have time to see my parents often. I got home Sunday to find that my entitled sister is visiting with her hellspawn child. As soon as I set foot in our yard, I could hear him screeching from the top of his lungs. I rush in to find him throwing a fit. He's 8, by the way. I greet my mother and ask her what's wrong, and she tells me that she didn't let him play football inside the house. I ask her where my sister is. She's talking on the phone upstairs. So I go up and tell him, "Hey kid, you want to play outside with Uncle?" He looks at me for a moment, then throws the ball at my face. I managed to dodge, but it hit a vase and broke it. Luckily it wasn't very expensive, but my mother was furious. The kid noticed and ran to his mommy dearest. So I went upstairs to greet my sister and inform her what had happened downstairs. She didn't even look away from her phone. She says, "Well, he's just bored." I say, "Even if he's bored, that's not a way to act." She glanced at my backpack and asked me, "Did you bring your laptop?" I knew what was about to happen and still said yes. She says, "Then just let him play some games." I declined, saying that, 1, I don't have any games on my laptop, and 2nd, I'm not going to trust him with my things after what he just did. At this point, my sister is glaring at me saying, "Well, if you're gonna be such a jerk, at least go grab his tablet." Then she threw me her house key. I just look at her for a second and ask her if she's being serious. She looked me in the face and told me, "Gosh, you're as slow as I remember." Mind you, she didn't even get her high school degree. I told her that I had just got here 10 minutes ago after a 4-hour drive, and that her house is an hour drive each way, so I'm not about to just go fetch her kid's tablet. Plus, she can lend him her phone. That ticked her off, and she started screaming how much of a disrespectful brat I am, and I should listen to her every command, given that she's my older sister, and that her baby boy is so bored in this house, and somehow it's my fault. I just left the room while she was still screaming. My mother called me down and I explained what happened. She gave $20 to go out until she cooled down. Now I'm sipping on my coffee while writing this. Man, there are so many stories that involve, out-of-control kids that just, for some reason, need some electronic device to be well-behaved. I don't know, are kids getting more spoiled or are parents just getting more lazy? Alright, now we've got, Entitled Mom Gets Security because I'm not swimming with a shirt on. So this was about 2 months ago. Right now I'm on a trip, but after this happened to me, I felt that I needed to post it, as I found it very entertaining. So I'm at a hotel in Chicago with my aunt on a trip. The hotel is really cool, with an indoor pool, and I decided that I was going to go down on my own and swim in it. I have my own key card, and I can access it by myself, so I grabbed a towel, put my swimsuit on, and rolled out. When I got to the pool, there was not one family or person there, and then I had the pool all to myself. I put my towel, phone, and card down, and took off my shirt. I'm a guy, so I can take my shirt off. I hopped in and started swimming laps. I then was tired and decided to do cannonballs. Then, the entitled mom and her innocent kid walks through the door, and I hear the mom gasp, and look up to see her. She says, "Why do you have your shirt off?" I say, I'm swimming. Is there a problem I should know? She says, yes, there is. You need to put a shirt on and stop showing your nipples. You're making my daughter scared. She covers her kid's eyes. I'm in disbelief. I say, look, there shouldn't be any problems with me not having my shirt on. She says, nope, get a shirt on now. I am shook and got out of the pool. I then get my shirt on. She says, why were you naked in the pool? I was like, well, I just had my shirt off. There should be no problems. She says, well, look, I came here to relax and let my daughter swim, not to see some teenage boy flashing himself. I'm just silent at this point. I can't believe what she is asking. The entitled mom then sees the security through the glass wall. She then leaves with her kid, and I decide to just sit and wonder what the heck this lady was on or what she was doing. She led security right to me, and I guess the guard thought he was going to see a naked teen running around the pool, but he saw me and walked over. He says, sir, have you been swimming in the pool, naked? I say, no, sir, I was just swimming with my shirt off. The guard gives me a look and turns to the entitled mom. She says, he was exposing himself in front of my child, showing his nipples. The guard gave out a sigh and asked the entitled mom to talk to him outside. What I heard next was entitled mom screaming at the guard and that she would be leaving the hotel. The guard comes back in. You can leave now. Best sentence I heard out of the whole situation. I dried off and head back to the hotel room. I told my aunt when I got back and she laughed and said she was going to tell my parents that I went out in public naked as some kind of sick joke. I hope I never see that lady again. Hey, look who showed up. Well, I would show you guys what I look like without a shirt on, but you might get blinded by how wide I am. It's kind of funny though, like I was just thinking about it the other day at the swimming pool, like when you're at a pool, you can basically just walk around in shorts with no shirt on. Basically like you're walking around in your underwear, but if you were away from a pool, then suddenly that's completely off limits. It just kind of seems like a weird standard, you know? Next story is, I don't know what to click, so I turned it off. So I work at a medical devices company. Our equipment collected ECG data for clinical drug trials, so each data set ended up being pretty expensive, about $5,000 to $10,000 per day, due to the cost of experimental drug, manpower, and legal and medical hoops of getting an untested drug into real humans. I got assigned to a case where a site was reporting we had misplaced roughly a month of data, something on the order of $250,000, and thousands of man-hours invested, vanished without a trace. The level 1 tech had tried the obvious things, so it fell to me to figure out where the data went. First, we knew the data existed because the site had paper copies of the data. Unfortunately, we needed the machine data because it had much higher resolution, but the electronic copies simply didn't exist. Not on their system, not on our server. We checked server logs, system logs, databases, everything. We simply never received a copy of it. It had disappeared. After almost an hour of trying to help this 60-plus-year-old research nurse figure out what was going on, I finally said, okay, just go through the whole procedure. Start at the beginning, actually do the whole thing while I watch your computer on TeamViewer. Everything was going normally. In fact, the quality was nearly perfect. She printed out a paper copy, and then right before she should have clicked Save and Submit, the screen went black. Over the phone, I asked her, what just happened? She says, oh, I turned off the computer. I said, what? Wait, why? And how? She says, oh, if I push the X, it says, do you want to save this report or discard it? It won't let me close the program until I click something, and I don't know what to push, so I just turn the computer off. I say, wait, so how do you turn the computer off? She says, I press and hold the little light up button on the top right of the keyboard. I'd figured it out. The reason the data was missing because it was never saved. The nurse would cut power on the laptop rather than answer the question of, do you want to save this very important, very time-consuming report you just generated? This option existed because oftentimes you would try 2 to 3 attempts to get a really clear data set. Bonus, it came up that she didn't know how to type capital letters. Someone once told me to press the shift key and then the letter, but it never works. I asked her to press the shift key and the letter at the same time, and she literally screamed in joy when a capital C appeared on her screen. The client sent me a bottle of scotch after this conversation. Don't you think you should at least train your employees on how to use the computers before trusting them with such important information? This cat, man. She is shedding like crazy right now. Alright, now we've got, you need to come out here right now. So this just happened tonight, like an hour ago tonight. I work overnights at a gas station, and weekends are usually unbearably slow, but it was pretty busy just now, thanks to a biker crew passing through. They were keeping me for so long that I didn't even notice an older gentleman in the back until they'd mostly cleared out. An older gentleman with a monkey on his head. No, not a stuffed monkey. A real, live, baby capuchin monkey. Immediately, I pick up the store phone to frantically call my manager in his office, and I don't even let him say anything. I just go, dude, you need to come out here right now. You need to see this. I'm serious, come out here right now. Now, we're both standing behind the counter and just gawking at this little monkey. And the dude doesn't pay us any mind at all. She's shockingly well behaved, just kind of sitting on this guy's head, looking around, browsing our nut stock. Meanwhile, the manager and I are between cooing and glancing at each other in disbelief, because a baby monkey is in our store. The guy eventually comes up and checks out, and he's got 2 bags of pistachios. I, of course, comment on how cute the little monkey is, and he just kind of laughs and says, "Yeah, but she still bites, don't you?" I'm absolutely enchanted. I wanted so badly to ask if I could feed her a nut or pet her or something, but there was a line forming, so I sadly let that opportunity slip from my little monkey-loving hands. And then a woman walks in, and this woman turns out to be this man's wife, and this woman also has a baby capuchin monkey on her head. The gas station is going ballistic at this point. Everyone, including the biker crew, just staring and cooing and keeping a respectable distance so as to not startle the babies. And the 2 monkey havers are just casually walking around the store like they don't have monkeys on their heads. She ended up getting a packet of chips and some fruit snacks, and my manager and I are both just staring into a pair of monkeys' eyes, and they're staring right back at us. The line had gone by then, but I was still too nervous to ask if I could actually meet them. After her transaction, they slowly wandered out the store, probably never to be seen here again. I'm honestly losing my mind, lads. This job has peaked. Nothing this incredible will ever happen to me again. I have to imagine that the person working here is like some out in the middle of nowhere rural gas station. Because when you're like so isolated from people, it just seems so crazy that anytime you see anything out of the usual. Man, I think Faye knows that she's a star, because she is way more clingy whenever I'm trying to record than ever. Alright, we got one more big story before the question, which is, want to know my every move but don't want to respect my craft? Enjoy these 50 emails a day from someone who does. So I recently started a senior cybersecurity position about 2 months ago for a global, publicly traded company. Over the past 2 months, I've been trying to learn the landscape of the company and alerting my boss of any potential risks. Call it an initial risk assessment. I report to the CISO, but I work with all the IT, app dev, and business users. Whenever I find a potential risk, vulnerability, or a loophole, I try to eliminate it by finding as much information because there may be something I don't know, or someone I haven't spoken to who is handling it. Because my company is spread out all over the world, all our teams are also spread out. The director of IT infrastructure sits in Europe, while my office is in the US. Let's just say this guy is a total control freak, but like I said, I don't work for him. 5 guys who do work for him, however, are in the same office I am, so I just go to those guys to ask for the information I need to make my assessment. And then I escalate to my boss, who immediately orders remediation of risks that I find, i.e. orders the Europe guy to fix stuff. This guy doesn't like it very much, so he calls me. Conversation went something like, so the control freak says, "Hey hacker, you need to think about who your job will impact before you create work for people. I don't like being blindsided." I say, fair enough, that's why I try to make sure to cover all grounds before I make proposals for remediation. If there's information you seek, talk to me first before you talk to my team. If it's a real risk, we'll fix it without need for escalation. I say, fair enough, I'll give that method a try if that's what you want. Problem with this new relationship is this guy is too busy and gets too many emails which he can't keep up with. Believes he runs a tight ship and cannot get hacked. I also told my boss about this conversation and he asked me to play along, but copy him in all my emails. Fast forward a couple weeks, the control freak has dismissed every single issue I brought up, or sometimes just completely didn't reply because too busy for emails, so I did what any hacker would do. With permission from my management, I hacked my way up to a domain controller, got some other admin accounts along the way. I did this over and over, taking different paths each time, including hacking devices we use in our conference rooms, which he claims are locked out. He or his team had no clue any of this happened, even though I performed the hacks from a non-image, external computer on a VPN. I submitted a pen test report to my boss, itemizing all the techniques I used and all the vulnerabilities I exploited. And vulnerabilities which I had mentioned to the control freak, but he dismissed out of hand. So my boss escalates to the CIO, who is the control freak's boss's boss. Anyways, crap rolls down from the ceiling. The control freak was livid. He was ordered to start a new project with allocated team and resources to follow up on my report, but not before we got another call. He says, "Why you do what you do?" English is not his first language. I say, "I told you this thing was real. It's what I'm hired to do, find loopholes like this." He says, "But why you no tell me?" I say, "I did tell you. You said it's not a real risk." He says, "Okay, but can you please let me know anything you do that concern my team at all times?" He was begging. I say, "Okay." The problem was, his boss had also asked to be copied on every email I sent to him, as has my boss. So now when I send him one email, he gets 3 from his boss asking him what his plan is, and 2 from my boss telling him why it's important. Also, whenever I need information about someone on his team, I have to copy him, which also means I have to copy his boss and my boss. It's a mess, and I realize it's a bad start to an otherwise great company. For someone who hates emails because he gets too much of them, he now gets almost 50 a day from or about me that he has to respond to. On the flip side, we are sort of becoming friends now, and he's working with me more and respecting my trade, so there's that. Maybe if I pass on good comments about him, we can go back to working directly without involving our bosses. You know, being a control freak doesn't really work when you can't actually take control of everything. That seems to happen a lot with these control freak bosses, it's just that they want to know everything that's going on, but as soon as you start telling them everything that's going on, they're like, why are you bothering me with all this? Alright, the question of the day is, what is the best psychological trick you know to really mess with someone? Say, I just want you to know that I personally have no problem with you being at this party. That's almost as good as going up to someone and saying, you know, you're not as bad as everyone says you are. So I use this trick all the time when someone is yelling at me over the phone. Just stay completely silent. Don't ignore them, and speak when spoken to, but when they are talking, nothing. No uh-huhs, no mms, no I see, nothing. Deprive them of all subconscious feedback. You really have to work at it, because humans naturally try to feed off one another verbally in conversation. The other person will quickly sense that something is wrong in the conversation, and it usually throws them off track enough that they stop ranting or yelling, and tell you what they actually want. Best way to shut someone up without being rude. My semiotics professor taught it to me. It works just as well in person, but face to face, you have to also avoid nodding, moving your hands, and you have to look them directly in the eyes. Yeah, I guess when you just sit there silently, you kind of raise a lot of questions in their head, and they don't know what you're thinking. I like telling people, nice socks, even when they're not visible. Okay. So one of my bosses feels the need to contradict anything I say, no matter how benign. She gets in moods, should probably see a therapist. When she does this, I just start agreeing with whatever she says, but I phrase it a little differently, and make my tone slightly argumentative. But I'm basically a parrot. Sure enough, she'll contradict what I say, so I do it again, agreeing with her new statement. We can go like this for a long time. She argues with herself. It doesn't help anything, but I find it amusing. It's the conversation equivalent of my brother grabbing my hand and smacking me in the face while saying, "Why are you hitting yourself? Stop hitting yourself." Man, I've met people like that too, where they just feel the need to argue every single thing you say. And so you're like, well, it's time to just mess with you at this point. So I stare at their forehead just between and slightly above the eye line while talking to someone. It throws them off their game, and they have a harder time lying to you or trying to influence you. There's a term for the style, but I'm too lazy to look it up. It's almost like staring at people can really mess with their heads sometimes. So I took my kids and two of their friends to this skateboarding park when they were about 8 and 10 years old. Some kid, who was about 12, was bullying them constantly. He was with two others. As an adult, I couldn't do a whole lot to the bully, and I didn't want to see my group have to leave on account of this kid being a jerk. So I told my oldest to just stare at the bully the next time he was approached by him, then say, "Your one eye is higher than the other one," and then skateboard away. Then, one by one, the other three kids in my group all skated past him, stared, then turned to my kid and said, "Yeah, you're right." The bully went over to his two buddies, and he must have asked them if it was true that his eyes were uneven. They all stared at him for a minute. He started crying and left the park. I kind of felt bad for him, but not as bad as I felt when he was being an a-hole to my kids and their friends. Well, that is all of the Reddit content I have for you guys. This felt like kind of a weird episode, I don't know why. But here's your cat video.
Why are you taking my donut? Excuse me. It's almost done.
So I recently went through and collected all of the clips from my cat that I've recorded over the years. I might just end up making like a Faye compilation at some point, because I probably won't get them all into videos like this. But that does it for this video, so thanks to everybody for watching, and I will talk to you guys next time.